action.
This week I received three estimates or bids on cabinets for a custom home that I'm building. And the first bid came in at $12,500. The second bid came in at $18,600, and the third bid came in at just a little over $24,000. So what bid do you think I'm going with? I don't know yet. And this is what I want to give you a little piece of advice on. When it comes to selecting a bid to put in your budget, and this is where all your work takes place here, spending some time at the computer, working with an Excel spreadsheet, which I offer with my program for free when you purchase the mentoring program. But you spend a lot of time looking at the budget, looking at the bids as they come in. And the biggest problem that a lot of owner builders make is, and I talked about this a little bit in my prior post, that they take the lowest bid on everything and they work that into their budget. The problem with that is that you have absolutely no flexibility at all. You have no wiggle room, no opportunities to improve or to make adjustments into your budget. I worked for a nonprofit housing organization many, many years ago, and I was under budget on 63 homes. The reason being is because they were over budget just about every single time before I came there. And before they started building these affordable housing units, they were always putting in the lowest bid, the lowest cost every single time. And they had surprises through the build process, and they were not prepared for those surprises. So the families had to have a second mortgage on their home. It wasn't really affordable housing by that time because they weren't prepared for that. They didn't know that that was going to come. So create wiggle room, create some flexibility in your budget. If you don't, it's going to hit you upside the head. I can guarantee you. We're talking about 40 to 45 different subcontractors bidding on your home. And we're not talking about including supply houses and materials and all that. You don't know where things are going to go wrong or increase in cost, and you don't even know where a savings could take place. But you want to prepare for the increases in costs. So the thing I teach most importantly is to don't always go for the low bid. It's not always the case, but avoid them like the plague because you don't know what that subcontractor is doing. Why are they bidding so low? Typically, when a subcontractor bids low, they're cash strapped or they're looking for cash flow and they're looking for some work, and so they're undercutting their real value just to get the work so they have some cash coming into their business. There's danger in that because they're not going to add value. They're going to cut costs everywhere they can. They're going to be impatient when they come to your job site. They're not going to want to spend time to do it right because they know they've already cut themselves short. All this is running through their heads. So that's the danger in selecting a low bid. But it's not always the case. Every once in a while you're going to get a bid that's really low that's actually the best quality. How do you find those people? Well, by networking. I've got a concrete gentleman who does my concrete work, and he's always on site. He's phenomenal. His name's John, and he's always my lower bid, and his work is impeccable. But it took me a long time to find him. He's been doing my work now for 15 years. Networking, going to supply houses, going to lumber yards, talking around, asking questions. The more you can ask questions and research and find out who you can get a bid from, the better you're going to get to that price point that works for you and that quality that's going to work for you. But be very cautious of that low bid. Sometimes they're great. Most of the time, they're a nightmare. Be very, very, very cautious about those. The last point I can make is if you go with the low bid, put a mid-grade bid in, kind of a little higher bid into your budget. Create some padding, create some flexibility into your budget. It's either, banks will typically require either a 7 or a 10% contingency over the entire budget. And a lot of owner builders fight this. Oh, we're going to manage it, we're going to be just right. No, it's not going to work out that way. Put a contingency into your budget. I will stress this over and over and over again. But for me, in order to be under budget and over 63 homes over a 3-year period of time, I put padding in various areas. And I knew where that padding was. And it was just between me and the budget. It doesn't mean I'm going to spend that amount. It just knows that I qualified for that much. That's how much I totally have to build a home. But I have some contingency here and there. I can't begin to tell you how important that is when building a home. Especially a custom home that's not a production home. It's a new home, new design, and nobody really knows the full system of the build. Anyway, my best advice for today. My name is Keith Kelch with How to Build Your Own Home.